Hi, welcome to the Art of Decluttering. I'm Kirsty Faruja.
And I'm Amy Revell, and today we are sharing with you about Tupperware, Tupperware, Tupperware. Yeah, I'm not sure there's a song, but there totally is now. At least we don't have to pay royalties for that.
Yeah, Katherine Milham requested this.
Oh,
and
thanks,
I think
Katherine.
a million other people would love us to get into their plastic drawers. We're calling it Tupperware, but that's just a brand.
Yeah, really, it could say plastics.
Yeah, I know you only have Tupperware in yours.
No.
Oh, no, you don't.
No,
You've got Systema.
I'm going to have to tell you about what's happening in my plastic cupboards.
Tell us now.
Yeah, okay. So we've always been 100% Tupperware because I started off with Tupperware. I love the product. I love what they brought out. It seemed to suit all our needs. And in the last couple of years, I've discovered Systema containers. And we talked a little bit about it in the containers episode. But I've now replaced everything that I freeze in from being Tupperware to Systema, and I've sold or given away all of my freezing Tupperware, and I'm in the process of getting rid of all my fridge things, so like an opened block of butter, little bits of leftovers, but not the fruit and veg. They're still in Tupperware because I like the nozzly things and the ridgy things. But yeah, no, we now have two different brands in our house.
How does that go with your...
Nothing else is allowed.
Yeah, I was going to say, how does that go with your... OCD spectrum?
Yeah, they have to be in separate drawers. They're not allowed to be in the same drawer. So there's two Tupperware drawers and one Systema drawer. Of course there is. Do you have one particular type of plastic?
No. We've got decor, we've got Systema, we've got Tupperware, we've got, the plastic stuff that you get to takeaway containers in. Yep, we've got everything.
Can't even.
We're a bit of floozies in that way.
You are floozies. I'm such a loyalist.
No.
Such a loyalist.
We're a cheap... We are TAs in our house.
TAs? What's that?
Tight bottom.
Oh! Or maybe you're not planning I'm just whacking the mic stand. You're not planning ahead, so you're getting what you need at the time, but it doesn't necessarily have to match.
Yeah, and Simon's never been too keen on the he sees the purpose of Tupperware and can see that it's an investment. We've just never had the investment to make in Tupperware for the long, we never did that whole bridal shower, let's kit out our house.
I get that. And I get that you haven't wanted to invest in higher end. What I don't get is why when you're at Coles, you would go, we'll get decor today, Systema tomorrow. I don't get that. I don't. There's no part of my brain that doesn't flip out when it's not the same.
Oh, and we've got IKEA.
So let's talk through some of the things that we're talking about when we talk about the plastics cupboard, just in case people aren't 100% sure what we're talking about. What's in there?
Lunch boxes, drink bottles potentially, leftover containers, veggies and fruit keepers, meat keepers, picnic Tupperware, servingware, bakingware, potentially, I know, beetroot container.
Oh, nobody ever uses their beetroot container. But it's all of those things that sit in the cupboard that sometimes are in the fridge, sometimes are in the freezer, sometimes are in the kids' lunchbox, sometimes are in the cupboard, sometimes are in the drying rack, but they're your plastics.
Yeah.
Okay, so when we go into someone's house, we're going to talk you through step by step what it looks like when we help someone declutter, and you'll hear the differences in how Kirsten and I do it. And then you get to go do it. So you can follow along, literally go and sit on the floor in your kitchen now with us, or you can take it all in and do it when you've got time.
And if you're going to follow along at home and Instagram it, then, you can always hashtag the Art of Decluttering with you.
We'll pop it in our Facebook community as well. We would love to see it.
Awesome.
So, Kirst, when you're doing a kitchen plastics cupboard with someone, what's one of the first things you want them to do?
I often remind them to gather up all the plastics from all over the house so that everything is in one spot and they're washed. I'll even get in and wash the dishes for them just so that we have everything. So we know that everything that is at least in the house, yes, kids' lunch boxes and drink bottles and, partners may have taken some plastic out of the house that day, but everything that we can have control over is in the one space so that we can clearly identify how much excess they might have of a particular type.
Yeah, because you get the full story. It's like when we do clothes. We're like, wash your clothes and have them in your bedroom ready to do. We want the same thing. What I do next is part of the fun, is I put my arm in the cupboard and I just sweep everything onto the floor. It is the best fun. It's one of my favourite things to do. And I end up, sitting waist deep in plastic. So I just get it all on the floor, everything, just pile it up. Do you do the same? You're looking at me like I'm cray-cray.
No. I always look at you like you're cray-cray.
That's true.
That's how could you identify that there was a different look coming at you then, Amy? No, I do find that overwhelming. The idea of that to me is very overwhelming. I definitely get everything out, but I don't think I do it all at one time.
Okay.
Like I might go, it just depends on my mood that day probably.
Yeah. No, so what I do then is I get it all out on the floor, and then the first thing is let's put lids on everything so that we know what bottoms or lids are missing.
Yeah.
And then once you've got lids on everything, I put it into categories. So it might be, if you've got Tupperware, it might be those ones that you can heat and eat from. You might have your fridge containers. You might have ones that you use in the freezer. You might have lunch boxes, and put them around like in different stations so that within each category you get the full story.
Yes. No, I definitely do that. It's just...
It's messy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that's why I'm like, I don't like doing it on the floor because I feel too overwhelmed. You're just bringing up my anxiety right now.
Yeah, that's all right.
No, but I definitely, it's really important to make sure that you have lids for everything, because there's no point in keeping something if it hasn't got a lid, if when you go to use it, it needs the lid.
Sometimes even there's containers that you don't use the lid for.
Yes.
Get rid of the lid. You don't have to keep it.
Yeah.
It's okay to get rid of it and recycle it.
Yeah. And it's also good to think about where else you may have, like, for instance, in the Fruja household, we may have decluttered a lid because we didn't know where the bottom was, but actually the bottom was being used for a different purpose. Like it was actually used
Tell us the exact story.
Yeah, okay. So we have a big plastic container that is used to hold all of the junk food, like
snacks.
All the kids' snacks, like the popcorn and the chips and the LCMs and tiny teddies and all those things that I shouldn't be feeding my children because I'm the perfect mother. And we have at one time gone and cleaned up our plastic cupboard. Simon hates the plastic cupboard because I just chuck things back in there, and I don't actually chuck it. I put it close to where it belongs.
Yeah.
And Simon, maybe cracks it every week when he has to go and clean it all up because his anxiety doesn't like him looking in the cupboard.
I feel you.
But we've gone to we're like, what is this random lid? And because it's such a huge lid compared to everything else in that cupboard, and I think I think we've gone to chuck it out and then gone, stop. It's for that container, which we may not use in another couple of years when the kids aren't using snacks for school lunches. Yep. But it's a really good container for something else potentially, or, we can donate it with a lid. But that's not to say that everybody should keep all the lids that they're not using just for that one day that they might potentially, donate it or try to sell it. Like, you do have to, I agree with Amy, you definitely do have to think about the size of the space that you're trying to contain, like trying to organize, and whether or not you really do need that lid indefinitely.
One of the things I get people to do, so I agree with you that pulling everything out can be overwhelming. So that's part of the reason I make it into your little segments. But then what I get people to do is I'm like, all right, I want you to pick anything that you 100% know without having to think about it, you're never going to use again.
Yep.
Isn't it? Like, that's the way that we want people to make that quick first decision, build up that decluttering muscle and go, oh, yeah, I hate that thing. I never wear it. I don't wear my Tupperware
I'm
very
really glad
often.
You don't wear your Tupperware.
But I'm picturing a fascinator made out of Tupperware now.
Oh, my goodness. Whereas I was thinking, as soon as I went to Madonna.
Oh. That's gold.
Sorry for that visual image, everyone.
I bet you some of our listeners went to Madonna as well. So once you've got rid of the ones that you're definitely not going to use anymore, how do you decide between all these perfectly good plastics?
Yes.
How do you decide what in the world you're going to keep? How?
And especially at the moment when there's such a big push towards, the environment. And there should be a big push to caring about our environment. It's very, very easy to feel really guilty about all the money that you've spent on plastic that we probably shouldn't have spent in the first place. Like, there's other alternatives, and there's particularly different alternatives now. So it's a really something to keep in mind, that we don't want you to feel guilty. You've already spent the money. You've already bought it. There's no point beating yourself up over something that you've already done. You can just make different, wiser, better for the environment choices going forward.
Yeah, and you've got the plastic, so it's better to use it than have to go out and buy another solution.
Definitely. So we would recommend that you donate or sell the items that you're no longer in love with and no longer use. And I keep coming back to this idea that particularly with the Tupperware brand, people find it really, really hard to let go of the Tupperware brand because they spent good money on it. Yeah. Amy, what do you say to that?
Well, the money's already spent. And if you're not using it, it's just taking up space. It's no longer something that's serving you. So if it's not serving you, it's time to let it go. Now, you can donate it to an op shop. Because op shops, I was saying to a client the other day who was like, I don't want to just give it away to an op shop. And I said, reframe it. Think about it that you're making a donation to a charity. The donation is just in the form of, in her case, some lovely clothes. Mm. So your donation to a charity is just in the form of Tupperware, because they're going to turn that into money.
Yeah.
So I would say to donate them. If you want to sell them in a bulk lot, because selling each item individually can be a bit tedious, and you're probably not going to attract as many buyers if you were to sell it in a bulk lot and just give it on to someone else, let it go, and just use the stuff you've got.
Yeah. And don't hold on to things just because you pay good money for it and you might one day use it. Like, if you haven't used it in the last year, you're probably not going to use it in the next year, because we've gone through all the seasons. You've had birthday parties, you've been on picnics or not been on picnics, and go back and listen to our picnic episode. But a year is a really good time frame, particularly for food, because you've gone through Christmas and Easter and parties galore, and you've had a lot of time to use these products. And if you haven't used these products in the last year, what's going to change in the next year to make you use those products? Nothing, my friend, nothing. And if there is, you can borrow it from your neighbour and your friends.
Are you loving getting into decluttering and organising? Are you excited to get into different spaces in your house and to see the transformation that is possible? But are you also finding that there are some things that just aren't sticking, that you're finding that you just don't have the routine or the system to really hold you where you want to be? Well, Kirsty and I have developed the Art of Decluttering online course, which is an amazing 6-module self-paced course with an interactive Facebook community. So if you want to go from overwhelmed to just nailing this decluttering thing, we would love you to join us. You just visit artofdecluttering.com.au/course. We have payment plans available. Access it today and see that transformation that you've been dreaming of. Have an organised home that stays organised for life. We cannot wait to see you in the course. I found in our family one of the shifts that we have. So we use modular mates in the pantry for all our pantry items. And we used to have probably 60 of them. So a lot. Because we cooked a lot from raw food. Our kids had a lot of allergies. So we weren't buying muesli bars. We were making everything from scratch. As they've outgrown their allergies and as we've taken on meal planning services like HelloFresh, we actually have a lot less ingredients in the pantry. And so what we've been going through lately is, how many of these do we need? Like, yes, the colour of my lid has been discontinued, so I can't go back and get these again if I change my mind. But also, half my pantry is full of empty Tupperware now. And so we've left it. It's probably been 9 months. Mm-hmm. Are we going to go back to it? Are we going to have, different types of flour, coconut flour, almond meal, hazel meal? Like, are we going to have that again? Probably not. We're kind of good where we are. So we're downsizing. It's not because we don't use that type. It's not because we don't like that type. It's just that we've got more than we need. And I think that's the case in a lot of categories.
Yeah, so you don't use them.
Yeah, like I could use them to keep birthday candles in. It's pointless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that when we group things, because I do the same thing, we group things together. It's really good. Like we're talking about, like you go through and get rid of the things that you instantly know that you never use, and then sell and donate, but also to then think about how much of that one style of product do you need? Like, okay, you've got all these freezer mates. How much can actually fit in your freezer?
Great
Imagine
question.
using all of it. Could you use all of it at one time? No, maybe not, because you wouldn't be able to fit it all in your freezer.
That's
because your
excellent.
freezer's not big enough to use all of them.
Yeah. And do you need the really big ones if it's just two of you?
Yeah. Or can you use another freezer mate for the product that you're not using at the moment? Like,
That's great.
do you need all of them? And like drink bottles,
They breed.
they do breed.
And they breed without the lids. There's like some weird genetic mutation with drink bottles. When they breed, they're like lidless.
I love that. It's so true. So we really want to encourage you when you are trying to declutter and thinking about decluttering is how many of that specific thing do you need? You know, how often do you have leftovers that you need 15 containers for?
Yeah, not very often.
Not very often. And again, what could you do instead? Which is the next things.
Yeah, so could you borrow it from a friend or neighbour, like you said before? Could you have one container that fits a birthday cake in it that you share amongst your whole family? Because it's unlikely that you're going to need it on the same day for the same people.
Or do you batch cook? And therefore you do need a lot of plastic containers to use in the fridge and the freezer because you do a big cook-off on Sunday and then you need it for all the week.
I had a client recently who makes their own muesli. So they had big containers for the components of the muesli and then they would make it into single serves and microwavable containers so that all they had to do was pour in the milk, put it in the microwave and breakfast was served. And they would have like 25 servings of muesli. But when that got low, they had 25 empty containers.
Yes.
And when I went there, it was low. And I said, do you really need all these? And they're like, we totally do.
Yes.
And I'm like, do you really need all of them? And they're like, yes. This is
we
why.
do. Why? Yes.
Yeah. Perfect. Ask the questions.
Yeah. And that's what we do as professional organisers. We're always like, but why? But why? we're like 2-year-olds.
Yes.
But why?
We
but
are.
why?
Oh, my goodness. I just realised how much like 2-year-olds we are.
Yeah. But why?
Oh, that's awesome.
And we do that because we really, like, obviously in that instance, you know, but why? Because we make 25 servings of muesli. Oh, okay, cool.
Makes sense.
But when you say, but why do you need to keep it? Because my grandma gave it to me. But why do you need to keep it?
Yeah.
Like, and we keep going, but why, to uncover all those layers and to help you figure out what's actually going on.
Kirst.
Amy.
I have a really contentious question for you. And I think it's going to split our listeners this week because it certainly splits my clients and I sometimes because I have one way of doing things.
Oh, I know where you're going with this.
Lids on or lids off? Which one are you?
Lids off. And you are lids on.
I'm lids on. Tell me your why behind lids off.
Why? Because you can fit more in.
Yes, you're making my argument for me. This is why I'm lids on, because then you can access what you've got rather than just have lots of it.
Yes, but it also depends on the size of the storage that you have.
It's true.
Because if you need 25 containers for your 25 mueslis, you need more room than you do if you have 2 containers for your muesli. So it is totally dependent on the family and their circumstances.
So why do you keep the lids off? Because you have plenty of kitchen space.
Because we want to keep the plastic cupboards to the one cupboard.
Okay, so you want to minimise the space it takes up.
Yes. And so what we do, and I'm sure this is what you recommend to your clients who choose to keep lids off, which Amy's just twitching around. So we put all the lids in one container so that you can easily find the lids. They're not scattered all around.
Yeah, you file them.
Yeah, we file them. So, and then we stack the empty containers together.
So, but this...
I know where you're going.
No. I don't think you do.
I think I do.
Because...
I think I do.
if you're going to be lids off, that is enforcing my perspective or reinforcing my perspective of buy like products because you can stack them. But if you're buying like 2 decor and 3 Sistema, then you can't stack them as well.
Okay. Let me go back.
Please do.
What we have in our plastics cupboard is mostly Sistema.
Okay.
No, mostly decor. One of the two. We have for that type of stuff, we have the same type of products.
Okay.
We have, if you look in my pantry for my baking goods and my rice and pasta, they're different variations.
Okay.
And for lunch boxes, we're floozies with them. We just pick and choose whichever one's on special in January.
So if you're starting from scratch,
yes,
go with the Amy model.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Pick a brand.
No. That is the Kirsty model too, if it was entirely within my control.
Nice. You need to take back some control. You need to put your foot down in the plastics department.
It's not the mountain I want to die on.
Yeah, that's true. So the reason I keep the lids on is because I like to be able to reach in, grab something and not have to search for a lid. I don't even want to have to flick through a file. I did have a client the other way.
Yeah, really?
The other day.
Who was the other way?
What? No, she was the other way.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, my
You
goodness,
got
my
it.
brain. She was the other way because she used to be a Tupperware demonstrator and said that keeping the lids on can make them smell funny on the inside. I've never had that because I don't have enough that things sit there for too long.
Yes.
But I did think that was a good point and I conceded to
Her way.
agreeing to her way.
In her instance. And
In her home.
This
Fair
is
enough.
why all families are unique and they can do things differently and it's all good. And we honour that in them, even if we do twitch.
One of my clients came up, well, they had used the saying itty bitty containers, and they were the ones that are like fist size where you can put like a couple of nuts or you can put a salad dressing, and they call them itty bitties. And you know how itty bitties just roll around in the cupboard. So I always say get a larger container and put all your itty bitties in there because then you can just throw them in there. You don't have to try and stack them or have lids separately because it's so little. Itty bitties all in together.
Yeah, we do that in our as well. What?
It's the itty bitty liddy committee.
Oh, your brain sometimes. She's laughing. She's wetting herself.
I thought that
laughing.
was funny.
It is great. Yeah, you're awesome.
Kirsty, show me some love.
You are awesome, Amy. We do, and that's a really great way of organising plastic cupboards, actually, and and in your pantry, is to have larger containers that you then stack things in. So then you're just pulling out that one container, looking for its lid and its bottom, or like in the pantry, like looking through all the spices to find that spice that you want, or that whatever the candles that you want for the birthday cake, is having them in larger containers.
Yeah, it's good. And I have found that works for drink bottles really well because they can all stand up.
Yes.
So that's an idea. If your drink bottles are all falling over all the time, you can't find one all together in a box.
Yes.
Is great.
Yep. So that's how we do our Tupperware containers. I'll take photos. We can put them on the Facebook page this week, and you can take your photos of your beautiful empty Tupperware containers.
Maybe I'll have sold some by then.
Oh, here's hoping.
Anything else, Kirsty, that you want to add in regards to the Tupperware cupboard?
Yes. So we're talking about organising now rather than decluttering. I do love having everyday things, put them at the front of the cupboard. So it depends on if you've got a drawer. Lots of kitchens have got drawers these days, so you can access things easily with a pull-out drawer. But even in them, everyday items at the front. So, lunch boxes at the front, drink bottles at the front, and then your lesser used items towards the back, particularly if you have a cupboard that you're squatting down to get to.
That's great advice. And a lot of people put their plastics in a corner cupboard, so even more so.
Corner cupboards. Hate them.
Yeah, I hate them too.
Well, especially those ones that like proper corner cupboards that really should be like Lazy Susan ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, hate them.
Mm-hmm.
Don't put your Tupperware in them.
No.
Or do, but like
use containers.
Use containers. Exactly what we were talking about. You want to use containers so you can pull the containers out and get to what you want. Yeah, and so less use stuff at the back of the cupboard. So for those, birthday cupcake containers, birthday cake containers, things that are not used very often at the back. Amy's
great thought.
Amy's
I'm swaying in the wind. I'm swaying in the wind.
I was rocking before.
Yeah, I think I'm just chilling.
Are we thinking that we're pregnant again? You know when you used to do that?
I did not used to do that when I was pregnant.
What about when you had little babies?
Yes, all the time. As soon as I pick up a baby now, I rock.
Yeah, what?
And Cal does it all the time. Cal rocks when he's got a baby in his arms.
You're making me feel weird.
Okay, I'm not rocking, but I do want to encourage people to do a big declutter in their plastic straw. I am yet to be in a home where there wasn't plastic to be decluttered, and yet to be in a home where there wasn't like a significant amount to be decluttered.
Yeah.
So
totally.
Pass them on to a uni student that you know, pass them on to an op shop, make a donation to charity in the form of plastics, and then enjoy using what you've got. You might find that you're inspired to get back to taking leftovers to work or things like that, that it was just all too hard because the plastic cupboard was overwhelming. Get back to those things that you want to do.
Yeah, awesome. Great advice. We have a review from Oneinseven today. They said, keep presuming that these people are she's, but that's really bad.
I would assume, probably.
But anyway, they said, I have a small house that lacks cupboards and space. At times I get frustrated because what do I do with that stuff? Luckily, this podcast has some innovative ideas. Thanks, ladies. Well, thank you, Oneinseven.
Thank you, Oneinseven. I'm glad that we can help with houses that have lots of storage, no storage, and lots of Tupperware or less Tupperware.
Yeah, so hop on this week to our Facebook community page or over on Instagram and show us how you have decluttered your plastics Tupperware cupboard this week, even if you're listening to it weeks past.
That's totally fine. And if you are feeling overwhelmed with the space and you don't want to get down into the cupboard yourself and you don't want to have to come up with the systems yourself, Kirsty and I would be honoured to come in and help you in your homes. So please be in touch. Just email hello@theartofdecluttering.com.au and we will give you a call and we'll make sure we come in and sort that out for you, make it beautiful and inspirational plastic cupboard.
Did you know, Amy, do you remember doing episode 10?
Yeah, kitchens, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems like a long time ago.
It
was a long time ago.
It was, like in the grand scheme of things, it was nearly 100 episodes ago.
Yeah.
So if you need more inspiration in your kitchen, then head over to our episode number 10. It's way back when we didn't really know what we were doing, and we still don't know what we always knew what we were doing professionally. We just didn't know podcast-wise exactly what we were doing, and now we're much more pro at it. So head over and listen to that episode if you need more inspiration in the kitchen, and we hope you have a beautiful week. We can't wait to hang out with you again next week. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us.
If you've learnt something awesome today, we'd love you to leave us a review on iTunes or Facebook so others can find our podcast too.
Don't forget you can see the show notes in your podcast app or over at our website, artofdecluttering.com.au. So if there's anything you want more info on, check it out there.
If you'd like to join our supporter community, you can do so over at patreon.com/theartofdecluttering.
We hope you have a great rest of your day
and enjoy the freedom.